Welcome to Beatsource Tech. My name is Mojaxx and it's been quite a while since we saw a major update to Rekordbox. Well, they've just released version 7, so in this video we're going to take a close look at everything that's new. The first big thing which Alpha Theta tout in their description of Rekordbox 7 is performance improvements. They claim up to a 56% reduction in CPU processing load compared to Rekordbox 6, and whilst I never quite saw that much, the load was definitely lower, as was memory usage. Likewise, they talk about power consumption being reduced, and whilst I couldn't really test that, any changes in that area are always welcome. They've updated JUCE or Juice, which is the underlying framework the app is built on, from version 3 to version 7, and there are numerous other under the hood changes: an improved waveform rendering algorithm, improved audio threading, and database read and write processing. They also claim to have improved the start and exit flow, but I still find the app to be pretty slow when opening and closing, with only small changes to the speed there in my testing. The next thing, and the most obvious, is the overhaul to the GUI. There are still a few areas where the layout doesn't really make sense to me. For example, they talk about switching from a tree view to an icon view over on the left, which is a great idea, but those icons are tiny, which kind of negates any benefit. Mostly in this video you're looking at my 5K desktop, which makes things look even smaller, but here they are on my MacBook Pro display, still too small in my opinion. That's always been my beef with the Rekordbox GUI in general. I like my laptop off to the side when I DJ, and sometimes it's hard to see some things on the screen at a glance, as so many elements are just very small. However, I do find the new GUI to be more contrasty than Rekordbox 6, and in general it looks better, so definitely some improvements have been made there. When it comes to licensing, which has always been a little opaque in Rekordbox, things have improved with version 7. Previously, if you weren't paying for a plan and just relied on hardware unlock, then some features were unavailable to you without your hardware connected. Now, in version 7, registering your product means you get all the same features even when your mixer or controller isn't hooked up, so that's a definite improvement. Rekordbox 6 brought with it a 2-deck mode in export mode, and that's still here in 7, but alongside that is a new dual deck mode. This is very cool for set preparation. It features dual deck controls, so you can start, stop and beat jump around in both decks simultaneously, ideal for planning out those drum and bass double drops, as well as EQ kills and key adjust on each deck, a really nice addition. Most of the other changes are focused around the library and how you work with your music. I've already mentioned the media browser, which is very cool despite being tiny. It makes for quick switching between your collection, playlists and streaming services. There's a new collection filter which lets you quickly drill down into your library as you can on CDJs. Unless I'm missing something though, there's no way to change which categories appear in those filters in the way you do when exporting to CDJs, and that reduces its functionality for me somewhat, but I'm sure that would be an easy fix in a future update. The ways you can work with streaming services have been massively overhauled in Rekordbox 7. Beatport is still the only service available in export mode, as that remains the only one usable on the CDJ3000, with Beatsource and others still in performance mode only. But from a music discovery perspective, this update is huge. Click, for example, on a genre, and you are presented with the top 100 and a selection of playlists with artwork, which is something I always like to see. From there you can open a playlist and add that to your library, or click a track to preview it, or even click on an artist or label to explore their catalogue further. This is all very cool stuff and definitely offers streaming users exciting ways to discover new music and start working with it right there in their DJ software. Another big related addition is the new radar function, collection radar and streaming radar. This apparently leverages an AI-powered algorithm to suggest suitable tracks to play according to what you have playing already and which criteria you choose. Collection radar will show you tracks from within your collection, which is neat, but streaming radar is even better, as it will bring up tracks from all the streaming services you're connected to, in my case Beatsource and Beatport. At that point you can preview them or load them to a deck or add them to your collection. I absolutely love this feature from my testing so far. It's a really organic way to discover new tracks you might want to add to your sets. Another intelligent feature addition is automatic queue creation. This works about as well as I expected, which means it is hit and miss. You can choose where it places the queues, either intelligently using data from Cloud Library Sync users, or have them placed every 4, 8 or 16 bars. If you mostly play 4 to the floor stuff like house, where Rekordbox generally gets the beat grid right, then you should have decent results. But I found with more broken beat type music, this playlist of classic dubstep for example, then it doesn't do so well. The grids are often off offbeat to begin with, and then that throws off the cue point settings altogether. To me, it's more work to then go and delete a ton of incorrect cues than it is to just set my own after fixing the beat grid. But your mileage may vary, and I'm sure the algorithm will be improved over time. So not really a feature for me today, but it could well be in the future. A couple more things of note before we wrap up. There's a new collaborative playlist feature which I haven't tried yet. Could be useful for planning sets and playlists with other DJs elsewhere in the world, especially if you use the same streaming services. And they've changed up the layout of the settings menu, which was always rather clunky in older versions. It is much smoother here. And finally, I'm sure users who use Rekordbox in performance mode have been eagerly awaiting an update to the stem separation in the software, which has been lagging behind the competition since it launched. Well, they can keep waiting, because as far as I can tell, there's no change to that whatsoever. Clearly the Rekordbox developers have been busy with the other new features in Rekordbox 7, but it's been a year now since the Flex 10 was released with the stems function, and so I can't help but be somewhat disappointed by that. A real shame, as otherwise Rekordbox 7 is an impressive update. So there you go, a look at Rekordbox version 7. Loads of really interesting stuff going on in there. Let us know in the comments which of the new features you're most excited by, and are there any areas where you think they may have missed the mark somewhat, or other features from different DJ software that you'd like to see them incorporate into Rekordbox in the future? And as this has been in public beta for a while, have you been using Rekordbox 7 for performance or preparation? And if so, what's your experience been like? Sound off in those comments. Thank you for watching this episode of Beatsource Tech. I do hope you've enjoyed it or found it useful. If you have, please give the video a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe to the channel and you turn on notifications to make sure you don't miss any future videos. I'll see you next time.